Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready? Prepare for blasting.
Your fortress of solitude.
Greetings, program.
Glad you're alive.
Your sanctum sanctorum.
Resistance is futile.
Welcome.
This should be the first triumph. This is where the fun begins.
Proof positive that geeks have inherited the earth.
It's showtime.
It's time to get your geek on.
You complete me.
With Dave Gramillion.
Ah, yes! Welcome back to another outstanding rendition of Get Your Geek On. I am Dave Gramillion, and this is the premier talk radio show for Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, esports, video gaming, really all things geek that have dominated this little world of ours. You see, geek is not what it was 20 or 30 years ago. Geek is in. Geek is very in. Geek is now the mainstream, and we are here to talk the latest and greatest that is geek right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This is Season 2, Episode number 49. That's right, 49. Closing in on the second anniversary of our beloved little show, and I have a very special guest who will be calling in here shortly. That's right, Joe Corroney, the famed artist. Star Wars, Star Trek, comic artist, stand-up artist, stand-alone artist. Maybe he does stand-up. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun to find out. Just a really outstanding guy with some incredible work that he'll be talking to us here shortly. Have some DCEU news to talk about. Morena Baccarin talked to CinePop. Are we going to see her in a DCEU movie? We're going to talk about that as well. Batwoman is coming. No, not Batgirl, but Batwoman. Let's make sure we get that right. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. We want to say a little bit of a farewell to Margot Kidder also, because she passed away earlier this week. The actress who played Lois Lane in the 70s and 80s Superman movies. She had a more varied career than that, but that's largely what she's known for in our community. And Star Wars news once again decided to just drop like a bomb on everybody, because we now know where Star Wars Celebration 2019 will be, and we'll talk about that location and why not everybody is thrilled about that and what the initial reactions are. And the solo box office predictions. We're going to have some fun tonight with the box office predictions, because whoever's farthest away on the opening weekend prediction will have to suffer the consequences. And I've come up with a really, really nice one. And if time permitting happens, which I honestly don't know, we'll talk Deadpool 2 and its box office as well.
So are these going to be like impractical Joker punishments, whereas if you refuse to do it, you're off the show?
Hey, now that's a good idea. Thanks, Goose, for chalking that up.
Why does everybody look at me all of a sudden?
Yeah, how about that? So, alrighty. So without, let me get a little bit of news out of the way, and then we'll bring on Joe Corroney, because he's on hold right now, and talk about Comic Palooza. It is next week, 168 hours away from Comic Palooza in Houston. We will be there. Goose and I will be present. We have 4 interviews lined up, ready to go. Walton Goggins, who is in the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. Dante Bosco, who was Rufio and also the voice of Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Trisha Helfer, who was the Cylon on Battlestar Galactica. We all remember her. And Jerry Ryan, who was 7 of 9 in Star Trek Voyager. We are going to have a slam-packed weekend, which is why you need to keep an eye on our Facebook page for all the interviews, the pictures, the videos, and more, which is facebook.com/GYGO Radio.
Now, because we are interviewing Trisha Helfer and Jerry Ryan, we will not be going alone. We will be taking our significant others with us as well.
Yeah, that was kind of a condition, so no problem there.
Go figure. Unfortunately, I will not be at Comic Palooza. My club, Star Wars Society of San Antonio, will be at the Alamo Drafthouse promoting Solo.
Which Alamo Drafthouse?
Alamo Drafthouse at West Lakes.
What day?
And we were out all weekend. We're going to be here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we're also going to be raising money for St. Baldrick's Pediatric Cancer Research. So come out and see us in costume.
Outstanding. All right. Well, without further ado, without further gilding the lily, and without further stalling for time, I think we are all set to bring on our very esteemed guest. I met this man up in Seattle at the Emerald City Comic-Con, and I was just blown away by his work. I mean, I've seen it before, don't get me wrong, but when you're there in person and you meet this man, you can't help but be impressed. I am speaking, of course, of the one the only Joe Corroney. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, David. I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic down here. I want to thank you for taking the time to call us and give us your thoughts on everything that's going on and your art and everything. We do appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So let's start at the beginning, which I've been told is a very good place to start. What got you into artistry, and when did you get your first big break?
I have to go way back to 1977 when Star Wars came out. I was barely 4 years old, so at the time, and that was the first movie I remember seeing in the theater. That I'm pretty sure it might have been my very first movie my parents took me to, but it was the first movie in the theater I remember seeing, and that left such a obviously a huge impression on me as a child. It inspired my imagination and my creativity. And also that same summer was my very first comic book, which was the Star Wars Marvel adaptation. So that 1-2 punch of seeing the movie in the theater, and then that July for my birthday, I got the oversized Treasury edition of issue 1 of Star Wars from Marvel Comics. And back then we couldn't relive the movie on VHS or on demand or anything. You had to actually, the way I relived the film was by reading the comic over and the other comics after that, and then basically drawing the pictures, and then obviously later that following year when the toys came out. But until the toys came out, I was really just drawing the Star Wars characters from the comic books, and then some other various books my parents had gotten me, merchandising stuff. But yeah, it was really Star Wars was what inspired me to become an artist, and so it's sort of been with me from the very, very beginning. My first big break, in regards to the other part of your question, was probably there's two I can think of. I guess my first one was in 1992, 93, I think. I would have been a sophomore in college, and I got my first gig with a small comic book publisher. So I was still in art college, but I got my first professional gig drawing a comic book for an independent publisher. I didn't really get paid much, if at all, but I got published, so that was a big deal.
It's always fun seeing your name in print for the very first time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when you're in college, you're just trying to get your name out there, you're trying to get published, and so I was happy just to actually, be ahead of the curve when it came to a lot of my other classmates who hadn't even thought about, what they had were going to do after school. I already knew I wanted to be a comic book artist already. So that was one break, and that came, my first comic started to come out in 94, and then again, these are just small publisher stuff. And I was doing some role-playing game art for a couple other small publishers like Champions, the role-playing game, and a couple other small companies. But then my next big break came with Star Wars, probably in 96. A couple years later, I started doing artwork for the Star Wars role-playing game. And that got me noticed with Lucasfilm and some of the other Lucasfilm licensees, which led to me doing even more Star Wars work shortly after for like Star Wars Insider magazine. I started illustrating for Lucasfilm directly. So that was my second big break, was getting published with the Star Wars role-playing game.
Now, great writers, they read other writers, and great filmmakers, they study other directors. But as an artist, whom do you admire and study?
A lot of my influences just aren't other illustrators or artists necessarily. They tend to be, I do have those for sure, and actually there are a lot of good friends of mine who I look up to, whose work that I study, guys like Mark Ratz and Jerry Vanderstelt, and these are big name, big league illustrator guys. Guys like Drew Struzan, who's probably one of my biggest influences, and then some of my contemporaries and friends who are also Star Wars illustrators. I look up to those guys and study their work too. And then, I look at filmmakers. even musicians, even for their creativity or work ethic, but also filmmakers, because I'm a big movie buff. I done some film and in college, and I had intentions of going off to Hollywood one day to work in film with my artwork, but it didn't quite coalesce the way I wanted, so I ended up kind of falling back on the illustration career. But I still study a lot of filmmakers, because I don't consider myself just an artist, but also a storyteller with my art, because I do a lot of comic book art. I do a lot of narrative illustrations. So I study a lot of film directors, and so yeah, Lucas, of course, Spielberg, all those guys, Tarantino, Coppola, Scorsese, all those, all the big names. But even the newer directors, of course, I love film. I love comic books.
Now, the Solo movie, speaking of being back to Star Wars here, Solo movie comes out next week, which has been a bit of a polarizing film, depending on which side of the fence you're on. Some are wondering why we are even having a Solo movie. Some just aren't excited because they're just like, okay, whatever. But what are your thoughts on the film?
Well, they could make a Star Wars movie. They could make Pondo Baba a Star Wars story. I would go see it. Like I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So any excuse for a Star Wars film, hey, count me in. I think it's a great reason. If the story is there, and you got talented guys like Lawrence Kasdan writing who really wants to write a Han Solo movie, then heck yeah, bring it on. That's Larry Kasdan. He knows the character inside and out. Let's make a movie. So granted, I get that it's Han Solo, it's Harrison Ford, who those are huge shoes to fill to begin with. Then you get an iconic character who's you don't really want to mess with that too much. I understand the trepidation from the fan base, and we don't want to fall into that prequel territory again, like we did with the. Even though I love all the Star Wars films, the prequels do have their. I know they have their faults, but so there's that aspect. We don't want another prequel. We don't really want to replace Harrison Ford, but at the same time, I think if you let go of some of those preconceptions, I think as a fan you might just. I haven't seen the film. I'm going to see it next week in Phoenix with actually. This is crazy. I'm going to see it with Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett himself. So we're both going to be there for. I'm going to go see Solo with Boba Fett. How crazy is that?
Okay, when you see Jeremy, you need to ask him about the time that he got a Texas-sized belt buckle.
I will absolutely do that.
This is a true story. He's been on our show before, and he told me that in his 50 years of work, his one regret is that he never got to do a Western. And when he came to the Alamo City Comic-Con, I presented him with an engraved belt buckle the size of a hubcap.
Oh my God!
And it says it's a Jeremy Bullock on top and it's Boba Fett on bottom. It was perfect.
That is awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, I will definitely. I'll nudge him about that one. Every time I see him, he gives me a hard time. We always joke around, but we've known each other for years, so that'll be funny. I'll have to rib him about that.
We're speaking with Joe Corroney here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer on Get Your Geek On. Joe, now speaking of Solo, do you have any Solo related art that you're working on?
I do. I have really just concepts right now that are in with Lucasfilm, so nothing I can really talk about specifically or even say for 100% sure that it's coming out at this point. But I have been working with Lucasfilm on concepts for some of their fine art divisions. This is like licensing art for Solo. Some of it's merchandising art too. So we'll see. I should know within the next week. If this is stuff that's going to be coming out or not, but if it doesn't, there's other projects. Not everything. Sometimes I'll pitch stuff to Lucasfilm, or they'll contact me and have me pitch stuff, and then it has to go through the channels and approvals, and then hopefully some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. So we'll find out.
Now, you've drawn for Marvel and DC and Star Trek and Charmed and Game of Thrones and little Doctor Who, in addition to Star Wars. But is there one franchise out there that you haven't drawn for that you'd love to sink your brushes into?
Well, I'm a huge geek of pretty much everything. I mean, I love all this stuff. I mean, it all sort of begins and ends with Star Wars, but in between all that, I love Star Trek. I've worked on Star Trek for 20 years now with CBS and a lot of their licensors. Besides Star Trek, and I've done Doctor Who. I'm a huge X-Files fan. I've worked on X-Files. I think, even though I've done stuff for Marvel and DC on occasion from time to time, I would always love to do more for those guys because, well, one, for DC, I'm a huge Batman fan, huge. So to be able to actually contribute on a more of a scale that would make a little bit more of an impact on Batman, something cool, I don't know. It could be covers for the comics or posters or who knows what. But I love Batman, so anything with that. I'm a huge Marvel guy, too. I grew up on Marvel comics, so I've done Marvel stuff. But, again, it's all been kind of like scattershot here and there. But, I love Captain America. That's one of my favorite characters. So, yeah, I would say, especially with the Marvel films, the way Marvel Studios has been just knocking them out of the park, to do anything with Marvel Studios for the film versions of the characters, that would be awesome. So,
all right, well, we have Kevin Feige on speed dial. Come on, let's make this happen here. He swore he'd stop taking my calls, but I think he was just kind of playing hard to get. So
yeah.
So we're speaking with Joe Corroney here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and Get Your Geek On. Joe, you are headed, you said, to Phoenix next week for the Phoenix Comic-Con. Where can people learn more about what you do and have some art shipped home?
Well, if you come to Phoenix, it's they actually changed the name this year. It's Phoenix Comic Fest. So if you come to that next week, next Memorial Day, and you can see me in person, and I can tell you all about what I do, and even better, I can show you pretty much everything that I do because I'll have all my artwork there. So yeah, I'll be on the main floor. I'll have a booth. I think it's like 727 or something like that on the main floor at Phoenix Comic Fest next weekend. But yeah, if you want to look me up and follow me online, I'm pretty easy to find. Just go to joecorroney.com, and then you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All that stuff is linked on my site. I'm pretty easy to find online. So.
Awesome, and we're going to put that link into the chat here so that everybody that's listening and watching us here on Facebook.com/GYGR Radio can follow along and can go right over to the website. Joe, we want to thank you for taking time out of your what has to be a very, very, very busy day to talk with us here. I can't wait to shake your hand again, sir. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I look forward to meeting you again. It was fun hanging out with you in Seattle at Emerald City, and my girlfriend Ashley and I were having fun geeking out with you about anime and movies and stuff, so that was really fun. So it was great meeting you there.
With any luck, we'll see if we can get you down to San Antonio here in October, and then we'll see you again in Chicago next April.
Oh, yeah, Celebration next April. I'll definitely be there. But, yeah, hopefully I'll see you in San Antonio, too, if I make it.
All right, thanks, Joe. Have a good rest of the day.
All right, thank you. You too.
So that was Joe Corroney, famed artist. This guy, if you haven't seen his work at joecorroney.com, go there. Seriously, go there. Pull over to the side of the road, pull out your smartphone so you're not driving and use that at the same time, and go to joecorroney.com. I mean, just incredible work. Incredible work.
Amazing.
Yeah, really something else. That one with Vader and Padme.
And I was like, that's it? That was his work?
Wow. That's the feels right there, man. You got to pack your bags because you're going to go on a fields trip.
Yes.
Fields trip. Yeah, okay, yeah. I know. Don't worry. I save my good stuff for practically nobody.
We noticed.
Pretty much. All right, so...
Wait, you actually have good stuff?
Yeah, can you believe it?
No.
All right, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit here. And let's talk about some rather interesting news coming out of the DCEU. Okay, and this bit of news is brought to you by our friends over at Havoc, the heroes and villains of cosplay down here in San Antonio. If you're looking for a cosplay group, if you're looking to just learn more about cosplay, or, you just want to hang out with a bunch of geeks,
check out Havoc.
Check out Havoc. They're at facebook.com/Havoc, so you want to definitely check them out. They've been doing a lot of good here in San Antonio, a lot of good elsewhere around Texas, and what a great bunch of guys. Check out Havoc. Okay, so Morena Baccarin. Now, you may know her from Deadpool fame. You may know her from Firefly. Thank you, Goose. Appreciate that. You may know her from a number of movies that she's done. So she's talked to CinePop and said that if she could be a superhero, she wouldn't be. Instead, she'd want to be a supervillain. Quote, I identify more with the villains, like Poison Ivy and Catwoman.
Meow.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Now, immediately, clickbait sites took off, and they started to say, oh, my God, so she's going to be in the DCEU. She's going to be in the DCEU. No. She identifies with villains like Poison Ivy and Catwoman.
Meow.
So she just identifies with them. Okay, so
identifies with whom?
That would be Poison Ivy and Catwoman.
Meow.
So this is nothing even close to a confirmation of anything at all. So that's the first thing I'll get out of the way. Secondly, oh my God, please someone make this happen. Please, someone please make this happen.
Yes, yeah, yep, yes.
Yes, please make this happen. Can you imagine Morena Baccarin as Catwoman?
Oh, I can imagine her in a lot.
Meow.
Ooh, yes.
I mean, I mean, Anne Hathaway, don't get me wrong, Anne Hathaway did a great job. But Morena Baccarin was like born to play this part.
What part is that?
No, Goose. Bad Goose. I'm going to get the spray bottle out. No.
You know, I was lucky to have met her at one of the fan expos way back when, and in Plano, and yeah, she's just as gorgeous as in person.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that she's athletic, she's good looking. You know, I'm just gonna say I could definitely see her playing Catwoman.
Meow.
I'd take a beating from Morena Baccarin.
Yeah, I think we all would.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly Ryan Reynolds did.
Well, you take a beating here every week for free. So
that's pretty true. So now we get this news. Goose, you're gonna have to help get me caught up on this because this news broke not too long ago that now we're gonna be introducing Batwoman.
Yes.
into the DC television universe.
Yeah.
Not Batgirl.
No, not Batgirl. This is Batwoman.
This was going to confuse a lot of casual fans out there.
Well, Batwoman
in the comics, right?
In the comics is former military. In the rebirth aspect, she's the cousin of Bruce Wayne. And yeah, she's Bruce Wayne's cousin.
Okay.
Martha and Batwoman's dad are brother sister.
Oh, okay.
So, and she comes back and takes up Batwoman and joins the Bat family and all of that. So it is one of those things where Batgirl, Warner Brothers probably said no to that, like they do every other Bat family character. But because Arrow wants so badly to be Batman.
Okay, so how is she going to fit into the Arrow?
I don't know. It's going to be part of the crossover event for next year.
Yeah, because I read this today and it said around December, and that's when they're gonna, I guess, bring her in, and she's gonna be on Arrow or
yeah.
Flash
Well, it's interesting because with CW's new schedule next year, Supergirl's going to be on Sunday.
Yes.
Then Legends and Arrow are going to be on Monday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then Flash and Black Lightning are going to be on Tuesday. So normally they've always ended the crossovers with Legends.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but
so now Legends is going to be part 2, Arrow is going to be part 3, and the Flash could conceivably be part 4 if they keep Black Lightning separate.
Now, why do you think they went with Batwoman instead of Batgirl?
Like I said, the DCEU people probably said no to Batgirl.
Yeah, but why?
Because he's probably going to be in a Batman movie.
Hopefully, maybe God willing.
Or a Batgirl movie, for Pete's sake.
Well, yeah, we could hope. I mean, I don't know. The DCEU, the movie version, we all know, has not exactly been kind. They haven't put out what I would call quality material. Let's face it, the DCEU movies, with one exception, they suck. 1.5 exceptions. I'll give Man of Steel...
Wonder Woman wasn't that bad.
I'll give Man of Steel like a half credit. But seriously, 1.5 out of 5 movies, yeah, they suck. They're not that good at movies. But now, a Batwoman, a live-action Batwoman,
But at least we have a connection to the Bat family where we typically haven't before.
Now, here's the big question. Are they going to go... How can I phrase this delicately?
We've never seen Batwoman in live action either.
Yeah,
no,
but...
That's what a geeky glam gamer has just said.
Yep.
Seeing what they did with Supergirl with her sister and her girlfriend...
Alex
are they going to
Maggie.
do the same thing with Batwoman? Because in the comics...
If they stay to the character, yes.
Which you would think they would, given the era that we live in, that they would certainly want to embrace that.
Now, because in the comics, Batwoman's alter ego gets involved with Renee Montoya.
Yes.
From the GCPD.
Very true.
So are they going to have Batwoman in Gotham or...
I don't know. I mean, this news just broke recently, so there's really no way for us to know. Also, we want to give our heartfelt sympathies. Margot Kidder died earlier this week. The quintessential Lois Lane from the 70s and 80s Superman movie. You know, you've got me, who's got you.
And what I always liked about that is she helped sell that role.
Yeah, she really did. She could have gone any number of ways with it. And yes, she had so many problems, but she fought through it. Mm-hmm. A lot like Carrie Fisher did for the most part. So Margot Kidder died at the age of 69. All right, we'll be right back here. We've got a hard break at bottom of the hour news. We've got much more coming up right after this on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and 930amtheanswer.com.
Delisle, the voice of Azula, and so many other of your favorite characters. And you're listening to the most dominant radio show for geeks in the world. Get your geek on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Alrighty, welcome back from the bottom of the hour news break. This is Get Your Geek On 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio. I'm Dave Gramillion, and if you missed the first half of our show, we had Joe Corroney call in, the famed artist of Star Wars, Star Trek. He's done Marvel, he's done Doctor Who, he's done crossovers, Game of Thrones, the whole 9 yards. You can see him at the Phoenix Comic Fest next week. So go head on out there or go to joecorroney.com so that you can order some of his art from his website. We also talked about some DCEU news. We are getting the Batwoman character, not Batgirl, Batwoman. There is a difference. No, I'm not going all social justice warrior on you. There actually is a difference. And Morena Baccarin, is she coming to the DCEU as Catwoman? Well, we'll have to just kind of speculate on that one. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's kick this thing off and go straight into some Star Wars news.
I'm looking forward to completing your training. In time, you will call me Master.
Alrighty, and this is brought to you by our friends over at Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch on the west side of San Antonio, out there by where 151 meets 1604. Have you seen all the events and tournaments they have going on out there? I mean, we talked to Rose out there, and man, they're all about gaming. It is fantastic. You can get comics there, you can get figures there, you can get graphic novels there, but you can also check out everything there is to do with tabletop gaming out at Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. All right, let's do this right. So Solo comes out next weekend. Yes. We need some box office predictions for the opening weekend. We got to have it. Now, this is a 4-day opening weekend.
What are the estimates?
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to give any hints out.
I say $6 trillion.
You always give what they project it to be.
Yeah, but I'm not doing that this time.
We base our predictions on that.
This time, there will be consequences on our bets.
What?
Here we go.
Boy.
What? Whoever's the...
I'm not getting frozen in carbonite.
Not again, no.
Okay.
No. Now, here's what happens.
You may have to dress up as Leia again, though.
Here's what happens.
Yeah.
So we've done box office predictions before. That's nothing new. We have one that's standing for Infinity War. Whoever's the furthest off when its production run is over has to do the one-chip challenge.
Oh, God.
However, for this one, we're doing the 4-day opening weekend total. The person who's the furthest off has to go downstairs by Highway 281, stand on the street corner and sing at the top of your lungs, "I'm a Little Teapot" for 5 minutes straight.
Okay.
Hold on. Does that include people in the chat, in the Facebook chat, found at facebook.com/GYGO radio?
No, just the three of us.
Oh,
the
man.
bet's limited to three of us.
Because somebody said 681 million.
Yeah, no. So let me qualify. The domestic opening weekend, not worldwide. So domestic opening weekend for the 4 days. The person furthest off has to sing "I'm a Little Teapot" down at the corner of 281 and
Jones Maltzberger.
Jones Maltzberger. We good? 5 minutes, top of your lungs, action. You got to do the whole handle and spout the whole bit.
Oh, Lord.
I'm game for it.
All right.
Why not?
I'll do it in costume. I don't care.
Really? Okay. All right. Good news. So 4-day weekend total. I'll call my shot first. I'm going to go with 170 million domestic.
100 and what?
170. 170. You want to write?
Okay.
Jot this down so we have documentation.
We have documentation. We have a podcast, a Facebook.
We have
video.
the best podcast in San Antonio, as voted on by San Antonio Magazine. Thank you very much.
So what'd you say? 165?
No, I said 170. Stop it. 170 million domestic opening weekend. That's my call.
Okay.
All right, Minion.
Peter?
I'm kind of like what Sean had said, but I'm going to go a little bit under. He says 235 million. I'm going to say 240.
240.
Hey, why not? It's my movie, all right?
Okay, $240 million
movie.
Opening weekend. And yes, we are doing, again, this is the 4-day weekend total.
Okay. So, it's the furthest away, right?
Whoever's the furthest away has to do "I'm a Little Teapot."
So 200,500,000.
You're going to be that specific with it.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Because you know why?
Why is that?
That's right in the smack dab middle.
Right in the middle.
Okay,
so I will not be the loser in this challenge.
But in the event if you are, who's going to be running the board?
No, this will be separate from the show.
Okay, this will be after the show.
We'll put this up exclusively on our YouTube channel. That'll be fun.
Okay.
You know what we also could do? We could have whoever's the closest pick the other person that has to go down.
That's not the bet.
I think we may do that next time. Okay, so I called 170 over the 4-day weekend. Minion, you called 240 million.
Yeah.
And Goose, you're calling
200.5.
200.5, exactly in the middle there. Yeah.
So, going back to because this is just a funny one. We don't normally talk about the chat too much during the show, but save that for. But Geeky Glam Gamer says whoever loses has to sing "I'm a Little Teapot" wearing a tutu.
I don't have a tutu.
I don't have one either.
Neither
I have a Leia outfit, but
Goose hesitated. Did you hear that?
I don't have one.
He hesitated.
I don't have one.
That you want us to know about.
I saw those pictures you back
I don't
in
have
college.
one.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
You were young and needed the money.
All right, so let's talk about the other little bit of Star Wars news that came out at Star Wars Celebration. So they don't have one this year. They skipped 2018 entirely, which I don't know why. I never got any answer as to why they skipped it this year. They could have gone.
They're focusing on the trilogy.
Well,
movie.
they could have gone oceanic though. They haven't done a Pacific Star Wars Celebration in a long time. They could do Tokyo. They could do Manila. They could do something in Malaysia. They could do something in Australia.
Well, they got to the rim once, but.
Wow.
Well, they did Celebration Japan.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
In a galaxy far,
They've
far
done
away.
2 in Europe since then, and of course a bunch in the USA. But they haven't done anything in 2018. So what are you going to do? So here's the deal. So they announced the location, and everybody's sitting there. They're thinking it's going to be either Anaheim or Orlando because, remember, I own Star Wars. And they think for sure the House of Mouse is going to have it either in Anaheim or Orlando. Everybody, literally everybody was thinking this. And it turns out to be in Chicago.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Yep, Chicago of all places.
I realized that I did my math wrong.
What's that?
Instead of 200.5, I'm going to go 205.
No, you already called 200.5. Sorry.
Okay.
You're stuck with
my
that.
math is wrong.
Yeah, Monica Lopez says she will make the tutu for the loser.
God. All right, we're moving on. Seriously, come on now. So Chicago, the city that spurned George Lucas when he wanted to build his museum there, They said, nope, sorry, we don't want you to spend $750 million on building a museum. No, go away. Yeah, and I've been looking around on social media, and first reactions, I kid you not, people are freaking out.
Oh?
People are honestly concerned about the crime in Chicago. They're running for body armor like they're stormtroopers.
Nah, see, that's when Star Wars, Lucasfilm, whoever needs to actually have a Kevlar package.
As part of the VIP,
a Kevlar ticket.
A
level.
Kevlar ticket.
Well, between all the stormtroopers and Jedis and Mandalorians and that, you're safe. And I mean, if you could have, a walking AT-AT, you're safe. You're in Chicago. I mean,
I can see the swag bags now for the Jedi Knight and Jedi Master VIPs. All right, so you get this this cool looking badge. You get a copy of maybe the Last Jedi or Solo. You get this really cool T-shirt, and here's your Kevlar body armor vest. Have fun.
Don't forget the helmet.
And the helmet.
It has to be a stormtrooper helmet.
Oh, it has to be bulletproof, too. Now, all right, it's true. 862 people have been shot in Chicago so far. However, it's 302 fewer than this time last year.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago.
Okay,
Said
now
by a Scotsman.
True. Now, to be fair, most of the shootings do occur on the south and west sides away from the convention center. There hasn't been a whole lot of actual, shootings going on there. There are some robberies and assaults, but, I mean, come on. It's a downtown in a major city. It's going to pretty much happen anywhere. I'm wondering, though, if weather is going to be an issue. Mm-hmm. It's mid-April in Chicago. They got 2 inches of snow in mid-April this year.
Well, I did Celebration 2 and 3 in Indianapolis, and I remember late April going back to the hotel, and it was snowing, and I was like, okay, everybody I know back home is in shorts and T-shirt and at Fiesta.
And it's snowing.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering we're not going to see a whole lot of, slave lady bikinis.
You'd be surprised.
Running around. I don't see, well, maybe indoors, but certainly.
No, well, it all depends whether or not Peter packs his.
What? Oh,
but the weird thing about it is, the location, of course, being one. But then again, I think Chicago, because it's kind of in the middle of the country, and it's it's got.
So is Dallas.
Well, more like actual middle of the country.
Well, it's up north there. We have better weather down here.
Yeah, true, but still.
Hey, there you go, Celebration Dallas.
Celebration Dallas. I would actually vote for that over Celebration San Antonio. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would want it here. But we're not equipped. We don't have the airport.
Well, it needs to be a hub city.
It does. Dallas would make a lot more sense. I'd be all for that.
They could have it at the AT&T Stadium.
Ooh, or the Alamo Dome.
No, Dallas.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's the AT&T Center?
Play. Sorry. Where the Cowboys play. I could see that. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be pretty cool. Here's the deal. So they have one of the largest convention centers in the country at Chicago. It's called the McCormick Place. And they have C2E2 up there every year since like 2010 or so. And it had 80,000 people there in 2017. So they're used to having large conventions. In fact, it has 2.67 million square feet of exhibition space. Ours down in San Antonio is only 1.6 million. And you know how big that is. We've seen that. So imagine another 1 million square feet. But my issue, in addition to the weather, because the weather's going to be dicey up there, in addition to the weather, it's not the space. Because when they go to Orlando or Anaheim, they actually don't use the whole convention center. It's how they use it. There was a huge debacle at the last celebration because there were line problems. They had everybody funneled through one entrance with metal detectors.
That happened at Celebration 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but not to this scale. There were people who waited something like 12 to 15 hours to get in, and they didn't camp out overnight. They showed up that day and didn't get in until that night. The line to get in, from what I was told, now I was told by this from Benjamin Hart. Benjamin Hart runs the Star Wars Underworld, which is a great place to go for news. Mad respect and props to those guys out there. But he told me that the line stretched for a mile or two. It actually wrapped around the building. Think about the convention center and how big it is. Now imagine a line wrapping all the way around it. I mean, that's
Is the convention
crazy.
center within a good neighborhood? Because I remember being when I was at Celebration 4 in L.A. It wasn't. I mean, you're walking past.
Well, that's why they're kind of the Kevlar ticket level.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Because I still remember, driving through back to the hotel back in L.A. and it's like trash everywhere, and it's like, wow, this looks like a really bad
that's why
episode
the
of
Ubers
Starsky and
are
Hutch.
the Ubers are armor plated.
I bet. Hopefully they'll be, AT-AT driven or something.
Yeah, they should be. No, it's on the near south side. It's not too far from Soldier Field. It's not the worst area. It's not the best area. It's downtown. I mean, it's downtown in any major city is going to be kind of interesting. But the wait to get in was crazy. I heard from another friend of mine out in the Caribbean named Matthew Leotard, and he told me that he spent an entire day in the autograph line. He didn't get to go to any panels whatsoever because the autograph lines were just askew. They were a mess. So I'm really hoping it's better organized this year.
I wonder if he pirated anything when he was there.
He was in the Caribbean.
Hey-oh.
Hey.
Ba-da-bum-bum, ba-da-bum-bum,
So
ba-da-dum-dum.
nothing's really changed since the last celebrations I've been to.
Pretty much, and that's a shame, actually.
Because you went to, which one did you go to?
Well, I went to 2015. Anaheim was my last one.
Okay.
Now, we've been to some poorly run cons. You and I have, Minion. And we've been to some really well-organized cons. And I got to say, man, it makes a huge difference. Alamo City Comic-Con is pretty well organized.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, everyone's going to have little slip-ups. PAX was well organized.
Very
That was great.
Well, sometimes when you don't correctly estimate the attendance, then things can get sticky.
Yeah.
When you go with what you've always gone with, but your attendance goes up by a lot,
Yep.
you're gonna have problems.
I just think that it could be and should be better organized because this isn't like 2017 was a fluke. The last several celebrations have been just an organizational nightmare.
That could have been why they took the year off to kind of just reassess and relaunch and everything.
Could
so
be.
who's running it this year?
Reed Pop.
Who?
Reed Pop. They usually end up running it. Now, I like this. Brian Donahoe in our chat here at facebook.com/GYGO radio. He says everyone can take in a series at Wrigley and then go enjoy the wars.
Hey, why not?
Dude, how much fun would it be to go see opening day at Wrigley?
When he means the wars.
When's the celebration? What
It's
dates?
the 11th to the 15th of April.
So you've already passed opening day.
Yeah, I've already missed opening day, but it'd be nice to see a game at Wrigley. I've never been to Chicago in general. So.
What do you mean wars? Do you mean Star Wars or the game
Yeah,
Wars?
Star Wars.
Okay.
boy.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll just leave the star off entirely and then just be honest with everybody. There's nothing worse than a poorly organized con.
Right.
There
That's
really
true.
isn't. You just stand and you wait
there's
in
Ebola.
lines. Well, yeah.
Denver Celebration 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
That was cold, too. That was
I was
99, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was stuck in the mud and the rain in that one.
Oh, my God. And I hope it's better organized. I've heard horror stories about 2017. Seriously, like it was just an awful. I would use stronger language, but we're on the air, so. But seriously, it's a lousy show con, is what I heard. You couldn't get into the panels, you couldn't do anything, and the people who waited overnight. This was kind of cool. Ryan Johnson himself came out and shook everybody's hand and posed for a selfie with everybody who waited in line.
And
every single person.
This was before the release of The Last Jedi, because they would have tried to slap him if it had been after.
That's true. That may not have been a good idea after Last Jedi came out, but I mean, just crazy how disorganized, how nobody knew anything, no volunteers knew any information, lines blurred together. There was one guy I talked to, I forget his name, I'm sorry, but he said he stood in a line for an hour and a half to get Mark Hamill's autograph. Turns out he was in the line for Ian McDiarmid.
Aww.
And he didn't have the Ian McDiarmid ticket. He had the Mark Hamill one. And they made him go back to the end of Mark Hamill's line. That was another 2.5 hours.
That's wrong on so many levels.
And he said he wasn't the only one. I mean, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. I can only really hope that this con is better organized, better set up, because I'm not worried about the violence. I'm really not. I'm sure Chicago PD is going to step it up.
More like the violence inside the con. I'm in the wrong line?
Yes, absolutely. There could be more violence in the con than out. The weather concerns me.
The thing that kind of gets me is, since it's in the middle of the week, it's one thing, when you go to a convention when it's on the weekend. But, for those of us who, are school teachers, especially around that time of the year, especially when we start doing state testing.
Yeah, let me go on a bit of a rant here, because I'm getting tired of this April celebration nonsense. I don't understand why they do this in April I understand you don't want to get too close to San Diego Comic-Con, but you know what? I don't care. You are depriving teachers and school kids from going to this thing. My wife's been dying to go to a celebration since 2012, and she can't do it. She can't because you guys hold it in April. The one in 2012 was in August. It was perfect. It was awesome. Why not? Why not go back to August, please? Because you guys are killing us.
Celebration for Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
In L.A.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could stretch that out. No problem. She could have come out for a couple of days. My wife can't go to a celebration. A lot of teachers can't go to a celebration. A lot of their students miss out on part of the celebration because you guys keep holding it in April. Put it back in the summer. Oh, but it's too hot in the summer. Yeah, whatever. You go to San Diego for that Comic-Con.
Actually, no. It's the weather's about 70 degrees all year long.
Okay, well that's true.
We need to go to San Diego.
But you know what? I don't care. You're indoors at the convention center most of the time anyway.
Right.
Who cares if it's in the summertime or not? You're indoors. Give me a break.
Wait a minute. Ewoks.
I just, God. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to do it in April.
Yeah, and especially even if it's late April. Hey, for those of us here in town, Fiesta. I mean,
but then you also have, it's Chicago. It's up north in mid-April, early to mid-April.
And it's still cold.
It's still cold. They got 2 inches of snow this year in mid-April in Chicago. Guys, I wish they would have thought this through. Now, it's a shock, an absolute shock that they chose Chicago, but I'm sick of these celebrations in April. I'm tired of it.
Well, you know the best way to get them to change it?
Not go?
Not go.
Yeah, but I'm going to go anyway.
Are we putting in for it this year or what?
I think we should. What do you think?
Well, we're a year out. We know about it. I think we should.
I think we have the time on our hands.
Yeah.
We probably should.
Yeah.
Right.
Take a couple days off from work and
Or
make some fun of it. But probably go up a little early, stay a little late, schmooze, hang out.
Yeah, there's just some logistics we may have to work out.
Go to some parties. Forget that we went to some parties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
that's
there's some logistical stuff we may have to work out, but
that's true as well. Okay, so in the time that we have left here, let's shift away from Star Wars and let's talk about some Marvel news.
This is that sequel to the smash hit with no equal.
Alrighty, this is brought to you by our friends over at Laser Legend. Laser Legend is on the north side of San Antonio, not quite to I-35 and not quite to Rolling Oaks Mall. It's there off a Lookout Road right in between them. I love going up there, man.
Oh,
They've
yeah,
got
it's great stuff.
Great food specials, great drink specials, they got a variety of fountain drinks. They have indoor miniature golf, which is really nice considering it was 97 degrees today. Good God. That was really nice to be indoors. 2-floor laser tag arena and a 4,000 square foot video arcade. Guys, it's only going to get hotter. This is the start to summer. Get indoors, enjoy their air conditioning, and go hang out at Laser Legend. They don't have the Photon Torpedo anymore, which saddens me. No. But they have quesadillas. They have little pizza pepperoni rolls. They've got Star Wars Battle Pod. It's fantastic.
They've got the Batmobile game.
They've got the Batmobile game, which is fun. They have Star Trek Pinball. Thank you very much. I'm still rocking and rolling on that one. Shoot 'em up games, air hockey. It's just a lot of fun. It's a great way to spend a few hours. Get out of the heat. Head over to Laser Legend. Alrighty, so Deadpool 2 is finally here.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
Now, the first one set the record for an R-rated movie at the box office. I mean, just killed it. Everybody loved this movie. Everybody loves this movie. So the big question is, what will Deadpool 2 do?
We're in the midst of opening weekend right now.
Yeah, I know. So we can't really gauge it too well. We'll check boxofficemojo.com after the weekend's done. But the hype for this is pretty good, I would say. But the marketing is through the roof. Have you guys been to a 7-Eleven lately?
I need to get the straw.
I have two. I have one of the cups, actually.
I have one of the cups, and I got the straw. Guilty as charged. I'm also doing that thing where you scan the 7-Eleven icon and Deadpool appears on your phone. I got that. He's on the cover of all these movies and magazines, and they digitally put him into all this stuff. The hype is real, guys. I mean, they're serious about this.
Have you seen that video yet that we told you? to watch?
Which one?
The Celine Dion music video?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That one. Oh my God. That was
some good stuff right there.
wow. That was impressive. I did like kind of like that one. But here's my big question. What exactly made the first one so successful in your minds? Goose, let's start with you.
It was different. We hadn't had an R-rated comic book movie since Blade or Blade Trinity or whatever. It was not with the people that we knew. I think what we're finding is that the first movie of a particular franchise is going to do well because it's something fresh.
Yeah, it's something new.
And with this one, it was fresh in the fact that not only was it a part of the X-Men universe we never saw, but there was things that we've never seen in a comic book movie before, like a ton of language and a ton of other non-FCC things.
It certainly paved the way for other rated R movies.
Well, Logan wouldn't be what Logan was, I don't think, if Deadpool didn't succeed.
Minion, what do you think made the first Deadpool movie so successful?
I think a lot of it had to be the humor, obviously. And, of course, the fact that he's not really the hero. He's more of an anti-hero. And I think what really kind of also, I didn't think about it until I watched it not too long ago. At the end of the movie, he has all this backpack and bag of guns.
Right.
And he forgets to bring them. So
Of
he's
course.
not prepared. So he's not somebody who you would call on first. But what really sold it was just Ryan Reynolds.
I think what helped make it so successful was that it followed the Simpsons formula. Every character in the Simpsons is memorable in their own way. Every character in Deadpool is memorable in their own way. Even Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who is bland and just, there's not much to her, but that's her. That's what makes her memorable.
I think she just called Negasonic Warhead in this one.
Well, yeah, that could be. All right, so next big question. Let's get to it. We only got about a minute left. Will Solo kill the box office for Deadpool 2? Because it's coming out the next week. Minion, go!
I kind of think it's in a rough spot. I think this would have done better if it were just done in the summer. But it's sandwiched between Solo and Infinity War. So I think it's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to do as well.
Goose, will Solo kill the box office for Deadpool 2?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because I think that a lot of people don't want to be in the huge mega lines and whatnot. So they'll go see Deadpool during Solo opening weekend. And they'll see Solo the weekend after that.
That could be, but I think it's going to make an impact. I don't think it's going to kill the box office, but I think it's going to make an impact. I agree with you, Minion. If this had been released later in June or July with a few weeks to stand on its own, I think it would have raked in probably maybe another 15%, give or take, plus or minus. All right, so that'll wrap it up here. If you want to tweet at us, you can find us at GYGO_radio. Shoot me an email at davethehost@getyourgeekon.org. For Goose, for Minion, and for myself, I want to thank our sponsors, Laser Legend, Havoc, The Mailing Spot, and Dragon Alamo Ranch. Thank you for listening. Be excellent to each other, and make sure to get your geek on every single day.